We continue now at the top of Daf Nun Tes Amud Beis in Meseches Nedarim. This is Nedarim Daf 59b. And the previous Amud, Rava brought the statement of Rabbi Yochanan. Let's say a person has a litra of Bitzalim. He took off Meiser on that litra of Bitzalim, then planted it and there was growth. So he said, Rabbi Yochanan said you have to take off Meiser on the entire thing, the growth and the original. And Rav Chisda argued on Rava. And Rav Chisda said, Heter Shebehen Lahechan Holach. The original you already took off Meiser. Why do you have to take off Meiser on the original a second time? And so Rava now brings a Mishnah, and the Mishnah says, let's say you have produce from the 6th year, and it's planted, and there's growth in the 7th year, so im hayu olin shalahen shechorin asurin. So if those leaves are fresh, if they're black, so then it's asur, it's considered to be produce from the 7th year. Horiko, but if it's green, mutarin, then it's going to be mutter. And so Rava says, v'chi shechorin amay asurin, if it's black, why is the original asur? Leima heter shebehen lahechan alach. We should say, where did the heter go? Obviously, we don't make that argument, says Rava to Rav Chisda. So Amar Leis, Rav Chisda says back to Rava, misavrit alikar katani, do you think that Mishnah means that the original is asur? That's not what it means. Atosefes katani asur. It just means the additional growth from the 7th year is asur, but the original is not going to be considered produce from the Shemitah year. But the Gemara continues, if that is the case, if you're saying that the Mishnah is only going on the growth, so my Yasser Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel l'meimer, what's Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel coming to say? Because he's the one that says it's only going on the growth. The Tanya, as we learned in a Brisa, Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, Omer, Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel says, Hagadol b'chiyav chayev, Hagadol b'ptor pater. That which grew during the time of chiyav, the 7th year is chayev. That which grew during the time of patur, the 6th year is pater. But Tanakama nami hachiyamer. But according to you, the Tanakam is saying the exact same thing. And so the Gemara says, no, Rav Chisda says, Kula Masnisin, Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel Katani. Rav Chisda will respond, the Mishnah also is Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel's opinion, meaning the Mishnah and the Bryce are saying the same thing. The original is going to be mutter, and the additional stuff that grew, that's going to be asur. It's exactly the argument that I'm making of Heter Shebehen Lahechan Halach. But the Gemara continues that Rabbi can still respond to Rav Chisda and say, V'ad kan lo shamat le'il Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel. We only heard Rav Shimon ben Gamliel say this argument, that the original remains potter, because heter shebehen le'echan holach, de lo katarach. That's in a situation where the balabayas, where the owner of the field, he didn't put out any effort, he didn't try to make it grow, it grew on its own. In other words, in a situation of the 6th year produce that on its own it grew in the 7th year, so we say that the original is not considered produce of the Shemitah year. But in our original discussion, the statement that Rava brought from Rabbi Yochanan, there the owner is actually putting forth effort. He's planting the litra Bitzalim. So in that case, we actually would say batal beruba. We would say the original actually is batal in the majority, and the original as well, you have to take off Meiser again. But the Gemara continues, V'chol heicha de katarach batal beruba. Is that really true in a case where the owner actually put forth effort to create the growth? Is there really bittel? V'harei litra meiser tevel. But we had a case earlier of a litra meiser of tevel where the owner did put forth effort and had it grow in the Shemitah year. And over there, the katarach again, the owner put forth the effort to make it grow. The katani, but yet it says v'osa litra, that original litra ma'aser Allah mimakam acher lefi cheshbon. You have to take off meiser from some other place lefi cheshbon, meaning all the new growth of the Shemitah year, that's not chayiv in meisers, but the original, which we can't locate anymore, of course, but the original is chayiv in meisers, and you have to separate on it from somewhere else. And so over there, even though effort was put forth to grow it, still we say that the original is not batal. And the Gemara responds, Shani gabi meiser, it's different by meiser, do amar kra, because there the pasuk says, aser to aser v'gomer, it says you should surely take off meiser, v'hetera zari inshi, and people are allowed to plant something that's heter, but isura lo zari inshi, but something that is forbidden should not be planted by people. The Mefarish over here explains, hetera zari inshi, davar shu mesukan, something which you've already taken off meisers, so regilim b'nei adam lizroa, so that people will plant, v'sagi le b'shnei meisers, b'meiser rishon and meiser sheni, and you'll take off the two meisers, meiser rishon, meiser sheni, the regular meiser. Avol davar shalisser, but let's say you have something that is forbidden, meaning you have something which you never separated meiser, ein regilim b'nei adam lizroa, that you shouldn't plant. V'hoil v'iyu kazara be'isurin, over here, this person in this case over here where he planted and it grew in the Shemitah year, he planted be'isur, shazara below truma meiser, he actually planted it and he hadn't yet taken off truma and meiser. So kansinan lehashta, so now we do have a knas, we find him, shema'aser oso iser shahaya lo lite nishtakid, shalo yistakar b'kach. We say that meiser that you should have taken off last year, you can't get out of it just because there's growth now in the 7th year. You want to say that growth is mevatel, the original, that we don't allow in this case because it is a knas. And the Gemara continues, Gufa, returning to what we said above. Amar Rabbi Chanina Tirsa said, Amar Rabbi Yanai, that Rabbi Yanai said, Batzel shel truma shenatu v'rabu gidula v'alikaru. Let's say you have an onion of truma, and you plant it, and the growth is more than the original, mutter, so in that case it is mutter. And the Gemara says, Lemeimer, does that mean to say the gidule, that which grows, and we'll continue with this discussion in the next video, on Daf Samech Amar Aleph.